Give me some of that.
Bro, there's literally nothing you can get.
I said Tootsie Roll.
You did it? What the heck?
Everybody sits, please. Seats, please. Thank
Mr.
you.
Bernard, I only have one. Do you want me to put it up here?
Got to pour it back in.
You're helping to pour out.
Everybody sit down, please. Everyone in the seat. Thank you. Guys, I'm going to start moving some people around. I know what has happened in the last few days, okay? The last few weeks. But the bell rang 2 minutes ago, and I know people are getting flies, but sit in your seats. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bernard, if you're moving people, can I move?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will create the thing if I do it. Okay, now listen. So what I do, I'm gonna put some flies in the freezer real quick. Okay, but we got a bunch of stuff that I want to do today. Let me grab this real quick.
Play. I'm tardy, everybody.
I have 4 too.
Yeah. Yep.
Bernard, do you
You're not
understand
gonna count
chemistry?
too much more. What's that?
Do you understand chemistry?
No, not really.
Give me some more. Give me some more. Give me the whole 2. Yeah. 7.
Bernard, do you need any more?
That's crazy. There's a lot of spit in the Okay, 5 second rule. It hurts my tongue. How many do you have?
6, I think.
Lose one mouth, burn it. Give me more.
Whoa! I'm funny.
You guys already have 6 or 7. You don't need any more.
I can't hear.
This part.
Sit.
Right here. It rotates. Yeah. It's hard to explain.
Rotate. No, stop. Don't do that.
You got some in there?
I know. Something's wrong with it.
Oh, bubble. That's what I'm trying to do. Here we go.
I have like a hostage. She can grab my flies.
I have like 5.
That is impossible. Yeah.
Man, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just right.
I'm ready.
All righty, folks. Let's talk about a couple things here. And first of all, let me mention that, like, I was having a conversation with somebody else about the DNA stuff, and we're going to get to well, I was going to do it on Friday, but I don't know if I'm going to do it on Friday now because there's some people that are gone at like band and choir stuff. So we may do it on Monday. Okay, but we will do this, and it's going to involve this equipment right here. Okay, so this little thing right here is going to have a little bit of a jello-y kind of thing in it. Okay, we're going to put actual liquid in this. If you notice, there's this topper here. I got to pull this off kind of carefully. I'll teach you how to use all this stuff, but this stuff's kind of cool. and kind of expensive. So we're gonna put some water in this thing. We're gonna put this topper on here. And if you notice, we got some cords. So we're gonna electrify this thing, right? So we got a little power source, okay? So what we're gonna do is we are going to start looking at DNA and trying to figure out some identification things. We all know that we can look at paternity. We could do some simple things like, can you roll your tongue? Can you not roll your tongue? Okay, but what if we get a little more serious? So I was talking the other day about, guys. Thanks. Can you put that back on your wherever? Okay, and I just want everybody to look up here real quick because this is something that's like, this is kind of crazy and also I want to make sure that like that light bulb goes on. Okay, so we've been talking all the way from the beginning about the cell. I think most people know, okay, that this is the nucleus, right? And this nucleus has what inside of it? The DNA, right? We know that that DNA is a double helix. We know that DNA looks like this, okay? And we know that this part right here are where the A's and T's are. Here's where the sugar and phosphates here are on the side. We know that DNA lives in this nucleus and it cannot leave the nucleus, okay? So what comes in to make a copy of the DNA? mRNA, right? And it leaves and it goes to these ribosomes. Okay, but here's the thing that I don't know if it's clicking with you. Okay, so let me just do this and hopefully the light bulb goes on if it doesn't. So we have DNA cannot leave the nucleus. So I'm going to say DNA, okay, is like, let's say ATTCCG, okay? We know that mRNA, so I'll go mRNA is the opposite. We know it's an RNA because there's no T. So we go UAAGGC, okay? That should be a no-brainer. Everybody got that? Okay. Now, do you remember what carries the amino acid? This is like what we were running around. It was somebody over on this tRNA. That tRNA, T stands for transfer. So this is messenger RNA, transfer RNA. Okay, now watch this. The transfer RNA is the opposite of the mRNA. So in this case, it'd be AUUCCG. And if you remember that tRNA carried an amino acid, we could say that's phenylalanine. Another amino acid, we could say that's glycine. Okay, y'all with me on that? tRNA, what's that? Yeah.
So like for quick on DNA, tRNA, we just like, isn't it just the same exact thing?
I was literally, you're reading my brain, buddy. Here's what I want y'all. Put your, like, I need eyeballs. Okay. So here's the DNA, can't leave the nucleus. I got to send the message out. This is the phone number, right? Okay, but I need the phone number to give me the girl or the protein, right? Okay, essentially, look at this. Okay, once I erase the mRNA, the tRNA and tRNA and DNA is the same thing, okay? Right? And I don't know if you've thought about that before. The tRNA carries the amino acids, so that's how I know how to make a protein, okay? I've got to put these in the right order. That codon chart you looked at on your own, but the rest of us looked at together with the circles and the G's and then the circle out, the third circle out. That tells me I need this amino acid in this place, this amino acid in this place, because the DNA told me to put it there, okay? Y'all with me on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all of that happened, okay, because this guy went in the nucleus, came back out, went to the ribosome, and the ribosome put those pieces together, okay? You got that? Everybody got that?
Yeah.
So now my DNA right here has the code for making things like an eyeball, okay, or hair, or skin, or brain cells. Okay, so what do I do with that? Okay, I love looking at I like the CSI stuff. Okay, for a while, like when those shows came out, everybody and their mother wanted to like go into like forensic scientists. There was like a giant flood. You couldn't get in. You couldn't get a job. Like you could get into schools, but nobody could get a job. Okay. But we're going to do a little thing here, and I'm going to tell you how to use this equipment. It's going to involve using your hand. Okay. I have not forgot about your flies.
Yes,
I have to be a profile.
There you need one more.
Who cares, Sammy?
I care.
I know.
Whoa, whoa,
I was like, I gotta get a pedophile. I was like, let me get in.
whoa.
Okay.
Molester.
What? Okay, Sammy.
Samantha said she cared about Sammy.
Okay, Sammy, I see
I
you.
didn't say care about
Yeah, whatever you want done.
Yeah, I would love to.
Oh, the pizza guy.
Really good.
Oh, God.
No, that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
she said
read
to
about
Sammy,
it.
we all know you want him.
Now I'm on the Indians.
What's your favorite ocean?
I really don't have faith. I gotta say that blank. Yeah, I've seen the Atlantic. I've seen the Pacific. I've swum in the Atlantic a few times. I've only been to the Pacific. We went to
We're
San
out.
Diego.
On San Diego. I love San Diego. All right, listen. I do have to tell a quick story because Jack brought this up. I used to teach a class called Summer Bio. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was this class, but from 7 a.m. till 12 p.m. every day for like 4 weeks in the summertime. And that sounds like horrible, okay, but it was super fun because we always got to go on field trips. Okay, we would go to the dunes, and I'll never forget, we were hiking up. If you've ever been to Dune State Park, there's Mount Tom and Mount Jackson. It's cross country, people know it well. I'll never forget going up Mount Tom and then finally getting to see Lake Michigan. And there were a lot of kids in that class who had never been to the dunes before and never really been out of Wabash County. So I'll never forget hiking up and we're looking out. It's like, guys, isn't this beautiful? Lake Michigan is massive, right? And this girl turns to me. Yeah. Did I tell you this story? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. First semester. Yeah, this girl looks over. She goes, man, I've always wanted to see the ocean. Right? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. So I just said, I'm glad I could bring you here. Okay. So let's read this story. I didn't tell the other class this, but I look forward to the day and hopefully my kids will do this worksheet because to keep them entertained from the grocery store, from like, let's say like Huntington to North Manchester, or we'd go get groceries and they would be crazy. And I would just make them happy, buy them these little things called mystery models. They were Hot Wheels in a pack.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you wouldn't know what they were. You'd open it up and,
Some crazy thing.
so I created this fictional character named Heinrich Milhouse, who's also in this little story. That's where I stole the name. And that he was a mystery model thief and that would steal the cars. So whenever we saw a helicopter driving home or an airplane, it was Heinrich Milhouse. And the kids, like even to this day, like this weekend we were driving and we saw a lifeline, like from Parkview. And they're like, oh, Dad, look out, there's Heinrich. And I was like, oh, that's cute. I hope they still believe. All right, but here we go. So late one April night, government agents received an anonymous tip that the National Art Museum was about to be robbed of a priceless jewel collection. When they arrived at the museum, they saw they were too late. The jewels are gone. Lying face down on the floor next to the empty jewel case was the body of a man the chief inspector recognized as the international jewel thief, Heinrich Milhouse. Milhouse had been shot in the chest at close range. His clothes were saturated in blood.
Listen, this is
Follow me,
serious.
okay? Underneath the body, let's see, underneath the body, the inspectors found a bloody knife. At the airport the next day, police apprehended Inglewood Smink, the murdered thief's occasional partner in crime. Smink denied all knowledge of the murder and the theft. When asked about the fresh cut on his hand, Smink said he had an accident in the kitchen that morning. Suspicious, the chief inspector ordered DNA tests on the victim. The blood of the victim's clothes, the blood on the end of the knife found under the victim, and Smink. Police laboratory technicians used the polymerase chain reaction to look at two different chromosome regions that contain a variable number tandem repeat. They used one set of primers for each region. The chromosome regions, primers, and results of these tests are shown in figure 27.1. What is your interpretation of the data? State your reasons. Should SMIC be released? Should other tests be performed? Okay, so what you've got are some numbers on the side. Fragment size, BP. I'll tell you what that means in a second. Okay, then you got these lanes. I want you to think of these lanes kind of like swimming lanes, okay, or track lanes. This is for Millhouse. This is for SMIC. This is for closed. This is for knife. Okay, so I want you to look at this and you tell me, do you think SMIC did it or didn't do it? We'll talk about that, but let me give you a
Yeah. You know what?
Oh my
I will
God.
come back tomorrow on Monday. Yeah, hey.
I'll give you, I just thought.
I won't tell you.
Don't like that.
I'll put it on how quick to go.
I'm not even close right now.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
I just want chocolate, guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to make ramen in like.
I'm back to like 9 pieces of
I'm feeling like, it's like this. Am I looking for?
Freshman has the exact same type of gum because I gave them this package.
We're fine. It literally has like, it's 5 calories, I'm like, about 20 calories in my mouth. 45 calories in my mouth.
But what were you doing on that?
But what if we're like, we have that one thing that like, you have that
You got it.
ingredient that's in,
You get dumber.
you get numbered.
Wait, hold on.
phenylalanine.
It
Phenol.
does.
You're like, I swear I didn't do good on my test because
It also contains, it contains soy.
No, I squished it.
Oh, it's not healthy.
I said it was
So how many grams of you lose with phenylalanine?
Forward.
yes.
Time.
Need
About
your
25.
What?
trying to take
So 25 grams per nine.
red girl.
Hold up, maybe I am.
Okay, we're talking about your flies in a
I
second.
got 200.
25
Got a red girl.
225.
I'll check.
I got a red-eyed girl.
Yeah, you need to check.
That's new, right?
What?
Red-eyed girl.
Hey, you
Yeah.
take some Benzoyl.
Done.
You take those two.
I give up. I'm done.
225, you're right.
You done?
I'm not, I'm
Finally
gaining.
got one. That one's a red-eyed female. Take a look. 900%. Upside down. I couldn't flip that.
Hey, when can you stop?
When you get
I
it
can't
done.
stop. I need more gum.
No, I think you don't.
I need more gum.
You're correct. You're done, my
I need to
brother.
keep going.
Finally.
Are you? Can I pitch this?
Yeah.
Can I pitch it?
Hey, this here?
Oh!
Try again. Try again.
I
No,
like
no,
these then. Let me swear something.
I'm done.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
this
all the flies.
What's that?
When are you done?
Because I'm done.
Say
All
goodbye.
right. All right, guys, listen, listen. You get two.
You will.
Oh my God. It's okay, guys. I learned it.
Look,
I will give you-
what about
I
the
give
eggs
you-
in there? They're gonna have.
Send me an email right now that says like I need.
Yeah.
Are you done? How many?
Once
What's
you
your
get
goal?
the unusual.
Okay, cool.
For the first time. then
Oh.
that's it.
Well, mine just stopped.
I'm following you.
I have a-
Whoa. Damn.
It kills
Isaac.
the boot.
What unusual did you get?
Mine was a red-eyed female.
I can't keep the boat.
What
That
else
doesn't
is it?
sound
That's what we've been normally getting.
Presley, your attitude.
Project ruined. That
Hey,
was
you
like-
were with it on that.
That's what we've been.
Like, he said you were done.
I was with Savannah and everything
I'm
takes
down
it
for it.
off.
But I didn't know like how did you get those?
Wait, you
Your
were
parents were there? Your parents were there.
Yeah, he's, oh, right.
You weren't there.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
He didn't,
Your parents were there?
he didn't know they dropped me off.
Boom.
Oh, I was like, how did you get there? Because there were looked like no one there that could drive.
Let's go, Isaac.
Okay.
What are we doing? Bet, let's go. I don't need them.
You'll have to count at least one more day.
Wait, was that on Saturday you saw? Oh, wait, I didn't help.
Mr. Sir.
Was I not there yet? No, you weren't there.
And Like zone.
Oh.
10. Protect the jewels.
I was confused though.
I thought this was still better.
Caitlin was like, huh?
Riley, you're done,
We were
right?
all like,
No.
huh?
No, I think
I
maxed it.
have it in 5. I have.
John, did you have Cuba? Did you have Cuba?
Hey, we overdone, so maybe if you open the door, it'll be less come to over.
Hey, we open, we don't take.
And
What?
Annie,
I will do your
tomorrow.
for you.
Why would you offer that?
So that I don't have to get it.
I think I still got the DNA.
But if I do your homework for you, you overdone.
Why should I let you?
All right, good
I
dad.
can't tell.
All right.
Right now?
All of them were done, I think.
Luckily, Riley doesn't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm just really missing today.
Now what do I do?
All right, good work, okay? Okay, go zone, okay?
Now what? Yeah, those.
Good job, good job.
I mastered it. I protected the jewels.
Wait, let me do it, let me do it.
Already did.
Don't hurt him, don't hurt him. You don't understand the pain of going
You
through.
didn't put those back in, did you?
Did.
Put these back in.
What is that?
Why is there such a library?
Dude, I wasn't ready.
I'll put you in the back.
I wasn't ready.
So now what?
Let me throw it at you.
She's a
Just
bitch.
kidding.
I know
I'm
that.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna throw it.
She'd be like,
I don't want to hurt you.
Sammy, nobody cares.
Jamie, do it.
That's it. Thanks.
I don't appreciate the cool. What? What is this nonsense? Violence. Why?
I'm telling you.
Sammy, he's small, but he's aggressive.
All right, folks. Yeah.
I'm done.
got it.
I'm literally getting the saddest headache.
I know.
You're like, great.
My head hurts. My mouth hurts. It's getting stuck to my teeth.
I don't know how VA.
Premises.
He doesn't know that nice.
You have a gun.
I kind of don't do it.
Really?
If you have a headache.
Yeah,
I didn't ask them how I was. I'm gonna go.
This is normal for me. I just love this don't get gone. I have to watch it.
Hey, Diego, can I ask you about your results? What
Don't
you get?
drink water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It kicked back. But sometimes you have to do it.
With your thirst.
Yeah.
This gun
It's good.
you okay though?
Well, we
What
have.
are you trying
What
to
are you
do?
doing?
So,
Oh, I thought you were gonna call me.
Yeah, you know.
That's
no,
a
that's my mom.
good, that's a good softball pitch.
Yeah, I know that. It goes.
No.
Yes, it does.
No.
Come on now.
I can pick your softball.
That would be good. I can't throw a softball.
Remember when we played All Star?
You don't even have a reason.
Dude,
I was always.
you ever seen my mom do a cartwheel?
Yeah, this is weird, man.
Well,
Someone's
dude, my mom.
Actually, I might have when Lauren played on the shock with me.
Yeah. She did walk up and do it.
I looked in
Why don't you guys play? We don't have enough players.
I was even with.
I can play for you,
No.
technically.
Technically, yeah, you could.
I used to play, but I was like.
We literally have 12 people,
13.
and we don't even have a JV. All we have is varsity.
Bet.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
I'm gonna play girls fast.
Good job.
There we go, finally. Hold on a quick second. Mr. Sir.
Male adult.
I want that guy.
Teenage girl.
Yeah, you can do that.
And just like,
Slam.
cool, you guys, man, I've been pumped about this.
Walk fast and then walk back.
Okay, cool.
Bro, I got game man.
One more day.
I
Are you done, man? Are you done with your phone?
Granny. Yo, nobody messes with Granny. I figured you had the best way to win. The best way to win is like right at the very end, you just jump on them and you
One.
No.
Okay, everybody sit.
Yeah.
Bring your own gum.
Okay, guys, all right, here we go. Chandler, I didn't see yours. Okay, what do you think? Did Smink do it?
Yeah. With the old gum, bro. Life hack. I don't want you to breakfast.
That's what they
Bubble
call
gum with the peanuts.
You go here,
I'm not doing that.
Do
Oh,
it.
that's your first two. Gotcha.
Do it. That's a crime.
It's a crime.
Gum
You're
and
gonna die.
peanut.
Oh, no, they
At
got rid of
Columbus.
it.
We're Grande.
Only real boys know.
That's true.
Did nobody else know that?
You know what? That ad is genius, but I hate that ad.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that we just decided.
Yeah, right. Okay, listen. Okay, here we go. You ready? So here's what we got. So let me explain what the BP is, because this is going to be important for this experiment. Okay, so everybody stick with me. Put your Chromebooks down. Okay, listen. So this is the gel. This is where the gel is going to go, and these are called just dams, guys.
Shut up, bro. We're trying to learn.
These dams are to keep the gel stuff in. Now I'm going to make the gel. Okay, and how this is going to go down is like I'll pour it into here, and it'll be ready for you. I'll remove this comb, and there'll be little tiny holes where we put our DNA. Yeah.
Is it Jell-O or pudding?
It's like Jell-O, but you don't want to like eat it. It's like an agarose. Okay, and so this comb right here does work also as a comb. Okay.
What's up, everybody? Yes, sir. Trust me, I know. Your hygiene is perfect.
Yeah. Dude, just shut up. Oh my God.
I'm able to come and eat you now.
Sorry.
I'm gonna do
He heard.
Oh.
Wasn't me. Check
What
the
is
jewels. First check the jewels.
Okay, now, so what we got here is these numbers. You see these numbers off the side. It says 100, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. Okay, the BP stands for base pairs. Okay, we know that this little ladder of DNA, this is what we've got with our double helix. This is the structure that Watson and Crick came up with after they, looked at Rosalind's X-ray picture. But here I got AT, CG, AT. Okay, these are the base pairs. So count this with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. These are 11 base pairs. That's what this DNA is. Okay, so this DNA, okay, if I put this into this little chart, okay, this DNA would go right kind of like off the chart, okay? Okay, wouldn't even fit right here because my bottom number is 20. Okay, y'all with me on this? If I had a DNA ladder with 100 base pairs, it'd be all the way to the ceiling, okay? Higher than that, right? Y'all with me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we've done is we've cut DNA up. Your DNA is super long. In fact, some people have said that if we looked at the base pairs and consider those base pairs phone numbers, and we put those phone numbers in a phone book, okay, that phone book would be as high as the Washington Monument, right? That's really, really high, okay? Now listen, what we've got then is these guys. Every time someone starts talking, I get distracted. Okay, stay with me here, okay? So these base pairs are just little snips, okay? So I've taken DNA, okay, as high as the Washington Monument. I've looked for specific regions, I've cut them, okay? Some of those cuts, okay, are really long. You're like, but these all look like the same size. Okay, they're all the same size because DNA, you can wind it up, right? And I can put it into like it's so incredibly small. All of these DNA pieces will fit inside the well that's that wide, right? So I'm going to put like, this would be Milhouse's DNA and Smink's DNA and the closest DNA, right? Y'all with me on this? Yep. And DNA separates based on like the size. So if I have this one's pretty light compared with the one that would be higher than the ceiling. The one that's higher than the ceiling, like, can only go through the gel so quickly. This one goes through like really fast, okay, right? So this one will go like all the way down here to the bottom. The fat one, sorry, only stays here at the top. Okay, so the number of base pairs, the longer the base pairs, the higher up it is on this thing, right? Okay, so once again, if you're considering this like lanes in a swimming pool, okay, I'm not going to get very far. Okay, right here. Okay, here I'm getting further. Okay, so this is Milhouse's DNA, and Milhouse's DNA like matches perfectly with what? No, the clothes, perfectly with the clothes, right? Okay, so like they're identical. So those are Milhouse's clothes. Now I know some people said knife, but there's something else on the knife. Okay, what else is on the knife? Smink, right? So if you look at Smink, okay, and remember Smink cut his finger. He said he was cooking. It was a cooking accident, right? But Smink cut his finger. Okay, when he cut his finger, that got on the knife. So the knife DNA, okay, why is the clothes DNA on the knife?
That's what I wanna know.
Because Milhouse was wearing his clothes, right? Okay, he's wearing his clothes, right? He stabs that. So we have Milhouse's DNA matches the clothes DNA. The clothes DNA matches the blood, the knife has Milhouse's DNA and also Smink's DNA. Okay, so we could say that at least we know there's a connection. We can't use that DNA to prove without a doubt that Smink did it, but it sure does look like it. Okay, in the case of O.J. Simpson he was acquitted, okay, even though the DNA matched. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, we're going to put DNA into these gels. Okay, and we are going to hook them up to electricity, and we're going to watch this happen. Okay, now listen, after a while, if we let this go all night long, all of the DNA that we put inside here would eventually run off. I mean, it's going to go right off the side of this thing, okay? Right, so we have to time it kind of nicely. We're going to hopefully do this within that class period. Okay, any question? This is called DNA gel electrophoresis. Okay, so it all comes from the DNA. But just remember, like we have how many chromosomes, folks? 46 chromosomes per person. Guys are XY, girls are XX, right? We know that there are some traits on the X and Y chromosomes, but some are not. If I have big A, and little a, I got one from mom and one from dad. Okay, both of these share the term homozygous, but what do I put with this big? Homozygous what? Dominant, right? If I go little, that's homozygous recessive. What do I call this one right here? It's the opposite of homozygous. Heterozygous, right? Right? Heterozygous, that means different. So I would have a big letter and a little letter. Okay? All of these letters, I say, is that the genotype or the phenotype? That's the genotype, right? The phenotype is the looks. Okay? Any questions on that? Now, one last thing before we go. Everybody open up Power School. Okay? You can do it on your phone. Okay? Everybody open up Power School on your phone. Okay? Okay, now listen. Okay, on your Power School, you may have some zeros. I love Explore Learning, but it does not tell me when you do things after they've already been turned in. Okay, so right now I'm going to show you what you have missing. If you did it and you still have a zero, okay, that's fine, but just send me an email like, hey, Burnworth, grade this thing. Mouse genetics, I don't have anything from Annie. I don't have anything from Bo. So there you go. The rest of you I've got. Okay, that's mouse genetics 1 trait. Mouse genetics 2 traits. Annie, Bo, Alex, Lucas. That's mouse genetics 2. Yes. Okay, so that's why I said a second ago, send me an email, say I did it, grade it. Okay, building DNA. I don't have one from Annie, Bo, Alex, and Ash. I don't have building DNA from you.
I know how to do it.
What's that?
I did the other thing.
Okay, I can show you how to do that. Meiosis. No, never. That's got liquid in it. That can be bad. Okay? No, no. It goes in the recycling. You try to make it in the recycling. Okay. Listen, hey, this ain't chump change. Every sit down. You guys are driving me crazy. I'm gonna permanently make you. Whoa, nice. Sit in your seat. You got ants in your pants, girl. Sit down.
Sit down.
Okay, now listen. Annie, I don't have this. Bo, Alex, Diego, okay, Ash. I don't have meiosis from you. Okay. Next one, results, RNA protein synthesis. Annie, Bo, Alex, Jack, Chandler, Riley. Okay, I do not have those.
Just said I had it done.
Okay.
Hours ago.
All right. Chicken genetics. Okay, I don't have chicken genetics from Annie, Bo, Landon. That's it. Okay, so if I didn't call your name, and you're like, I have a 0, send me an email and say, check that, okay? Because I grade them and then I wash my hands of it. It does not send me an update to those things. So if you do, yeah, keep that. Thank you. Okay?